Welcome to the Coda podcast. I'm Rue from Rue Films, and today I'll be speaking with Sam Boxell from Sam and Megan Films. Sam, along with his wife Megan, built an incredible wedding film business by crafting beautiful, heartfelt wedding films using a minimalist approach with storytelling at its core. An entrepreneurial soul, Sam has leveraged the skills he honed as a wedding filmmaker to create and scale successful businesses across 5 different industries, achieving a combined revenue of over £3 million annually. In this episode, we delve into how Sam transitioned out of wedding filmmaking and successfully pivoted to building a diverse portfolio of thriving businesses. He shares invaluable insights on identifying opportunities and applying the creative and technical expertise from his filmmaking career to new ventures. Whether you're looking to grow your wedding business or explore new horizons, this conversation is packed with practical advice and inspiration. So Sam, thank you ever so much for joining us on the Coda podcast. It's so good to have you here.
Hey man, yeah, you too. Thanks so much for having me.
I was so keen to get you on because you're an interesting bloke. You've got so many strings to your bow, and I feel like you're adding more strings all the time. But what's so interesting is how you've developed the skill set that you had from being a wedding filmmaker, how you've moved on from that and put together all these different businesses, which I want to dive into. But just to get going, there's a few questions, quick fire questions that kind of frame our conversation, I guess, to a certain extent.
Sure.
So your filmmaking business is Sam and Megan, right?
Yep.
And with your wife Megan.
Yep.
And when did you start wedding filmmaking?
We started the actual weddings we had the idea for it end of 2018, and we were up and going pretty much straight away, to be honest, like within a couple of months. So back end of 2018, and then I guess 2019 was our, first full season.
Yeah. And what were you doing before that? What was it that kind of inspired the leap into wedding filmmaking?
Yeah, I kind of fell into this. I feel like so many people probably say that it just happened by accident, or you just kind of fell into it. I've always been super creative. I've been a musician forever. Like that's what I've always done ever since being in school. And then that's also what I studied is like music production, kind of audio stuff, and have always played in bands. So since the age of like 14, I've probably had a camera in hand, shooting my band's music videos, doing that kind of stuff, shooting studio videos. And that at some point escalated into me kind of doing almost like full production packages for bands. So I'd help write, I'd produce, I'd record songs. I had a recording studio myself, so I'd like mix, master, and then shoot the music video. And it was kind of just like I just did everything, and I worked with a lot of bands that I loved, and because it kind of meant I could do most aspects of the creative endeavors that they kind of needed, like the products that they needed, it was actually quite a sustainable business. Like it was pretty decent. And then I sort of disappeared off for a while and got into e-commerce stuff, started building websites because I did a fair bit of like web development and coding back in the day. Started building websites, jumped on board with my dad's business, like a family business, for a while because they were just a shop and wanted to take the business online. Helped do that. That was supposed to be like a 6-month build out an e-commerce site, pass on responsibility and disappear, and that turned into 5 years.
Oh wow. What was the business?
It was kitchen appliances, so nothing particularly exciting, but I did love it. It was great because I was working with my brothers, working with my dad. That was cool, but I love coding. I get into a flow state when it comes to like building sites and doing that sort of stuff, the same way I think in your early days you get into a flow state when you're editing. And once it was up and running, I got to do all the marketing. So that's what when I really fell in love more and more with video, because I sort of learned Facebook ads, learned Google ads, started doing YouTube ads as well. And then I was like filming and photographing all the time for this marketing material. And one day my wife, Megan, who's the other half of the wedding film business, her brother was getting married. I had just bought a drone just for fun, and we had a nice camera that we used to take away when we went traveling or on holidays and stuff. And they had a photographer, but they didn't have any video. And I was just like, oh, I'll bring it along, and I'll just grab a couple of clips for you guys and cut something together. And ended up getting pretty hammered at the wedding, as you would expect, and laid in bed that night after going to bed at like probably 2 a.m, dumped all the footage, edited through till like 5 a.m, and like took the film to breakfast.
You were hammered, like you woke up in the middle of the night? and smashed
No,
out an edit.
I didn't even go to sleep. No, I just literally, I mean, I would have at some point. I probably slept from maybe, 4 or 5 in the morning till like 9 in the morning or something. And yeah, and I took the finished film to breakfast and showed them. And obviously, lots of it was a big like hotel, so lots of family and people were there, and lots of their friends and people in their bridal party. Yeah, and it was pretty cool. It was kind of good. It was like a 1 or 2 minute, like almost like a trailer kind of thing. And literally there and then, their friends were like, "Oh my God, you got to come do this at our wedding." And that was it. We had no business. It was just an idea, and someone else wanted it. So I was like, yeah, yeah, that's fine. Megan's great with the camera as well. Megan had never used the camera in her life. Like she's got no idea. I was like, yeah, yeah, we'll do it. It's fine. It's next year. We'll work out the details over the next 12 months. And that was kind of it. The rest is history, really. We got that. We ended up building a site and bought a Ray Roman course and watched that. Figured we knew everything we needed to do then. And I think the thing that kicked the business off, which is actually something that I've done in a lot of my businesses since, the same strategy I've used, is we did a giveaway on Facebook. So we obviously had the footage from Megan's brother's wedding. So we actually had a little bit of something to show, which was cool. And we did a Facebook giveaway for a free wedding film package worth 1,200 quid or something, and you had to comment, share, whatever, like tag a friend who's getting married or all that kind of stuff. And we ran it for a month with some Facebook ads, and at the end of it we were obviously going to pick a winner, and that would again give us another wedding for the portfolio.
Yeah.
But what all the couples who were commenting didn't realize is obviously it wasn't random or like official draw. It was just something we were doing ourselves. So we went through all of the couples and found all of the best looking ones. And then we looked through like their Instagrams and we're like, let's see what venues they've been looking at. Found all the nice local venues, chose a winner, and then proceeded after that to go back through and fire similar messages saying, hey, look, I know you didn't win the gold package worth 1,200 quid, but how about we come and just do this for you as a thanks for entering, and gave them like a basic package with just a 5 minute film or whatever. And we chose them based on the fact that like they were a good looking couple, they were at a great venue, and they were getting married at the start of the year, so we could get them all done before the season was to
Right.
kick off.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, within a couple of months of the idea, we shot 5 weddings in a month in like April or something, and had a full portfolio at all the best venues in Somerset. And
Wow.
then come June, people were paying us to do it because they had seen, a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of last minute bookings in the film world, and yeah, we'd kind of just shot these venues. We'd put these films out. We're doing like trailers the next day for Instagram, which obviously then all the couples and the bridal parties and groomsmen were sharing, and it was a business by June.
That's incredible. Yeah. And were you putting money behind? So there was you were using ads for the giveaway. Did how much did you put behind that? Can you remember?
Probably not loads, like maybe like 100, 200 quid, not like crazy money. We probably just ran a few quid a day
Yeah.
over 30 days or something.
And because I always find this interesting how people get started, like the kind of getting the money together to start a wedding business. Because I think quite often it's a hobby initially, right? You've got cameras just from your hobby, you then put
Yeah.
them used to making money. Like when you booked in from Megan's brother's wedding, those weddings, was it a case of right now we need to go out and buy the gear, or did you have a lot of the gear already, or did you have to like invest to get going?
Yeah, so I obviously had all the sound kit from like doing the music stuff for years, and I still had my recording studio at that point. So we had lavs and mics and all that. I just had a lot of that kind of kit
Yeah.
anyway. We had a camera, we had a Canon 80D, which was kind of our holiday camera. We literally just had that with like the stock 50mm lens, and that's what we used at Megan's brother's wedding. So we just bought another one of those. We bought another 80D secondhand on eBay, maybe for like 500 quid or something, and another 50mm lens. We rocked an 80D and a 50mm lens for like a long time.
Really? And was it
Yeah.
the old 1.8? Was it the Nifty 50? Was it?
Yeah, nifty 50. That was it. Literally. Like we probably did a good year on that
Yeah.
easily. That those alone. That's all we had, just both of us.
But it's a great start though, isn't it? Because starting with almost limiting equipment, you really find yourself as a filmmaker when you have to work around limitations, that's when the creativity kind of comes to the forefront, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, not a lot's really changed for us in all honesty. It's not like now we've gone out and bought the most expensive things and got all these fancy lenses. Like we still pretty much are the same. Like we're not
Really?
far off. I mean, we're on Sony instead of Canon now, but like that's really the only change.
Like great segue there, Sam. My next question was going to be, so what's the now presently? What's the equipment that you're using for a wedding day? And what's your for both of you? What's your setups?
Yeah, so we've got Sony A7 IIIs, and the only reason we moved to those is because we were sick of lugging around monopods, and we were like, we can't do this anymore. I was like, we're not quick enough. We're like missing moments. Like our whole style is very like fast. It's very like we don't want to miss a thing. It's like
Yeah,
I'd rather it be shaky and overexposed than to miss people laughing at a hilarious joke that Nan just told in the corner.
yeah,
So we're slightly documentary in that sense, but I think over the years we've just got faster at handling that style. It kind of looks okay. Okay. But yeah, so we moved to Sony's because we just wanted to be freehand. We needed stabilization, basically. And that was the best at the time. We bought them back in 2020, like mid
yeah.
2020, end of 2020.
So the,
So
the
that was kind
A7
of the thing
III,
at the
not
time.
not the S3, the A3.
Yeah, just the A3.
Yeah, yeah, A7 III. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've both got one of those, and we've just got nifty 50s. Like we just got the Sony version of it, literally like the £80 one from Curry's.
Really? I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. And your work, I mean, you wouldn't I'm looking at that and I'm not seeing a cheap lens. It doesn't look like a cheap lens that you're using. Obviously, you know
No,
your way around it.
we have actually got some nicer lenses, but like we just don't use them. We've got an eight like the 85, like an 85 1.4, and we've got a Tamron, like a big zoom lens that we use that's off the top of my head, I think it's like 70 to 110. It's like an odd one.
Yeah.
It's and we only bought that because we occasionally found ourselves in situations where like rooms would be so deep for speeches or something. We just got sick of being parked up in the middle of tables and stuff like that. We're like,
Yeah.
where you're like got on a monopod, like in between three tables, and you're like crouching on the floor and your knees are broken. We're like, we can't do this anymore. Like, we need to get a longer lens just in case we have to do stuff like that. But that's it. Yeah, to be honest. So funnily enough, as well, you say about the quality of the lens. We probably shoot in APS-C mode for the majority of the day as well, which is even weirder for most
But just to
people.
punch in or just to give
Yeah,
yourself
so
an extra throw, yeah.
exactly, yeah. So we have it set up like on the 50mm lens, and then on like the custom 2 button, we've got that to punch in. And yeah, we probably find ourselves punched in like quite a lot of the time, which is kind of ironic when we've got a way nicer 85mm lens.
But it's the versatility though, isn't it? Because that's what I really miss from my A7 III, because that's what I use for a large part of my career. In fact, actually, I think my time with an A7S III has taken over it now, but it feels like I felt like my foundations at least were with the A7 III. And I
Yeah.
loved having the crop mode set up just to punch in. But now on the A, when you're shooting 4K 50, you can't do that in the A7S III. And oh man, having to just rely on one focal length. Like every now and again, you need that little bit just to punch in, don't you, and get yourself that little bit closer.
Yeah, it is nice. I suppose at 4K, like you got a bit more wiggle room in post though, right? To punch in or reframe a little bit where like, yeah, we only shoot at 1080. So it's really handy for us on the day for sure.
During your multicams as a duo, were you just rocking two cameras, like one each, or did you have like a third come into play, or maybe a fourth, or no?
Yeah, so for a long time, we just had the two of us. And then when Megan started to do more of the editing, she was just finding it a little bit too tricky, like handling some of the multicams where there would just be patches, where maybe one of us was refocusing and the other one of
Yeah.
us was moving, and it was just like bugging her. She's a lot more like probably not I'm probably more detail orientated. She just probably cares more about getting it all super perfect. So yeah, so then at that point, we just picked up like a DJI Osmo, like at the time, just like the little cheap one, just because we thought we're not going to use it in the cinematic film, but it's totally fine for a cutaway if one of us messes up for a ceremonial speeches edit. And it was wide, it goes on a gorilla pod. If you've got a funny vicar or a really annoying like ceremony speeches room where like you can't really get a stand up or something, we can wrap it around anything, get it up in the air, get a wide shot, and like we've got something to fall back on. We used that for quite a long time. Didn't look very good, to be honest. It's not great, like, but it's totally okay to save you if you have an issue where you're both making a change at the same time. But recently, within like, well, probably like a year ago, I'd say, we picked up what is it? It's right in front of me. It's like a ZV-10 something,
Right.
EV10Z,
Yeah.
basically another
Is that the
Sony.
full frame one or is that the crop one?
No, the crop one.
Yeah. It's like the vlog. It's like the vlogging camera style, right?
Yes, but it's the interchangeable lens one. It's not the
Yeah.
one that's got like the fixed lens in it. That's awesome. We got that with a 15 mil 1.8, and it's just awesome. That's what I'm on right now.
Oh, amazing. So then you just have that as a safety angle, and then you
Yeah.
and Megan are rocking your 50s, basically, are you, for like
Yeah,
the other angles? Yeah.
totally. Like, well, typically, actually, we'll have that maybe at like 15 mil, and we'll do like a wide of a ceremonial speeches or something like that. Megan is usually on 50, depending on the size of the room. She might be on the 85, but pretty much all the time she's on 50. And then that's usually when I switch to the Tamron, and I always get the headshot of the speaker. So I'll be on like a big zoom lens then, usually like more often than not, usually at like 200 and then cropped in as well.
Yeah. You can really, really get in there from a distance.
Yeah, we always do like a kind of chest, like head, eyes on the kind of rule of thirds, head
Yeah.
speaker shot. That's kind of like our go-to for speeches in the film a lot of the time. And then the other cameras are more just for like, if we need reaction shots or wider stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said that you handed over the editing to Megan at one point. So initially, was it you that was handling editing?
Yeah, so initially I was kind of doing everything. I mean, the first couple of weddings we shot, Megan had really never used the camera. It was kind of just, she was just very much there as a complete backup of a second. And like I was confident enough on my own, like that I was confident enough that I could deliver enough on my own to do the film anyway. So I was like, it gave her time to learn. And she got really good really fast. She obviously had a little bit of knowledge from doing like vlogs and travel videos and stuff like that. But yeah, she just got better and better, and I just kept palming off more and more responsibility on the day to her to the point where, now she does pretty much all the main stuff now because it's just become our roles on the day because I just kept giving her like more and more responsibility. Now that's just what she does. So the same sort of thing happened then with the editing. Some of the other businesses and other work that I was doing was getting busier and busier. We had obviously, like everyone, we had a really crazy backlog after COVID and stuff. And she just had to learn. She just had to, like, it just wasn't enough time. She was already doing a little bit, like she'd cut the multicams and stuff like that, but I'd still do the creative bits. And yeah, we didn't really know how we were going to approach it. Like, I'm a terrible teacher. Obviously, husband and wife, I'd be just appallingly impatient with her. So I was like, actually just can't teach you this. I just can't do it. Like, it'll be the end of it. And so we ended up we got Philip White's course, and more importantly, we got the White and Reverie course. White and Reverie, for anyone who doesn't know, are like an American couple who, that is literally why we started doing this, to be honest with you. We saw their films and we just thought they were so cool.
Yeah.
And their course, not only did I learn a lot from it, but it basically taught Megan from start to finish to the point where probably 6 months later, she was editing way better than I was. She just had
Really?
like her accuracy in terms of quality of edit is still now I still do the final like everything. So even when the film's completely finished, I still go through and do all the final color correction. I'll do all the audio mix and like Megan will create this beautiful love story, and she's got a really good intuition of putting all the right pieces in the right place. But you'll get to like a shot in the middle of the film, there'll just be like a 3 millisecond gap between two shots, and it'll flash black, and like she just won't even notice.
We're all guilty of that now and again.
So I do all the detailed stuff at the end, but when it comes to actually piecing the story together and creating the film and the flow, we learned a lot from the White and Reverie course, and Megan's intuition for that is really, really good.
Really, yeah. And that's so interesting. So you weren't really sitting down with her and teaching. It was a case of like she's learning herself through this course. And is
Yeah,
that a more healthy way of learning, you think, rather than like I guess if you're just training her up, she's learning exactly how you do it. But with her kind of finding her own path, it kind of brings a bit of her own personality into that edit, into her own creativity.
yeah, exactly. And I think like I probably had bad habits and I still had plenty to learn. So the course was going to be valuable no matter what. Like Kristen and Kaylin, who are White and Reverie, are such nice people, such great characters. They do a lot of YouTube, or they did a lot of YouTube content back in the day. You could just tell they were going to be great educators, and it was one of those things where it was just a no-brainer. It came up on a deal for like $600 or something, and I'd argue that like without that film course, we wouldn't have like really done much. It pretty much shaped like how we do everything now, and it probably took our editing time from like, what would feel like weeks to we can get a film cut in a day.
And is that how the kind of time frame that you guys can work on now? Can you get your deliver? Is it all your deliverables done in a day, or is it literally just like one of the films kind of thing?
It's not even close now with the
Yeah,
kids. So nowadays, back in the day, yes, like there was definitely times where I sat down and I could get like the full cinematic 7 to 8 minute film done, first cut done in a day, and be pretty much totally happy with it. Generally speaking, like when I get back from the wedding and I back everything up, I tend to just do the multicams then, like put them all together, and then Megan will just cut them, and they kind
yeah.
of just take real time because that's pretty straightforward. Like if the shooting's on point, they're obviously really easy just to cut. Yeah, and then that was mostly what we did for years and years. Like all we delivered was basically full ceremony, full speeches, and a 7 to 8 minute film. The only addition we really do now is we do a doc film now as well in like the top package, and literally all that is every single clip that we've favorited from the day, like the section of every single clip that we favorited in Final Cut. It's all of that dumped on a timeline in chronological order, and I just put together like a sort of default soundtrack that's maybe like, 30-40 minutes of music, and we just get rid of all the duplicate clips. They come out really nice because there's always two of us on a day, and Megan's at bridal prep and I'm at groom prep or doing establishers. You get this like amazing chronological story that it's really cool when you watch it back, even as us, because I'm like, oh, at the time I was filming this, then putting the bow tie on the dog at groom prep, the girls were doing this, and like, but every single clip is in sync, like because
Yeah.
obviously set your time and stuff on your cameras, right? And it's so cool just to let it all cut. We don't move a single clip on it, and they really just flow somehow. So we started doing those.
Are you
But yeah,
leaving the natural sound in there as well?
we usually like will take all the audio and put it on like -10, and then
Yeah,
maybe put like some music underneath, at like -3 or 4 dB. So you've got music throughout, but generally just like, nice, stringy, calm, subtle stuff that sits in the background. And then yeah, we'll leave like if it's in prep or something, for example, all the sort of giggling, laughing, conversation, like we leave all that in just enough to hear, not like
yeah.
front and center, but it's there. But yeah, that's kind of what we do. Nowadays, it's very different because we've got a little girl at preschool and a little boy who's still just napping. Megan edits about a film in about a month at the moment, which
Yeah.
sounds like a long time, but we shoot so few that there's never a backlog. It's literally if we shoot a wedding at the beginning of July, Megan will work on it for 1.5 to 2 hours, if one maybe more like an hour, hour and a half while Jesse's napping, and she'll get an hour to an hour and a half in every day. And she'll just
Yeah.
do that over the course of a month between other stuff, and then it'll be done. Then it's just down to
Yeah.
me to polish it off.
Amazing. So that's kind of rounding up your kind of like your wedding bits, because and you mentioned it before. Now you're shooting around about 5 or 6 weddings a year now, aren't you?
Yeah.
But it used to be a lot more, didn't it, when you were like both full into the business? How much on average did it used to be when you were kind of like at your peak?
I think our first couple of years we shot about 25, because even all the time this business has been going, I've always had other stuff on the go. I've always
Yeah.
been doing other bits, whether it's like marketing work or bits for that family business, or the starting up of one of my current businesses. I've always had other stuff going on. We've shot about 20, 25. That was like the first year we started, we probably shot like 10 or 11. That was including like all those free ones we did through the Facebook giveaway. And then come the following year, we had enough between the two of us for then Megan to quit her job, which was always the aim, by the way. The reason we sort of kicked this off was like, how can I get Megan out of a 9 to 5? Because I've
Yeah.
always run my own businesses. I've always been flexible, and we had the capacity and the sort of spare cash to be going off and traveling and doing stuff, but we couldn't do it because she had work. So it was like, we can't go on like this. So let's find something that you can do as well as a bit more flexible. And the ideas of weddings then seemed great when we were, we sort of stumbled across it because it had sort of seasonality to it, but we could pick and choose months maybe we didn't want to take any on, and we could always take the editing with us if we decided to go somewhere, which is what we tended to do like in the early days before kids, like we'd shoot a season and then disappear off to like Thailand or Bali or something for like the whole of October and just like edit and hang out and live cheap.
Wow.
But yeah, that's not quite the reality nowadays. But we were probably shooting like 20, 25 for the first couple of years. And then I think we peaked probably at like maybe 35, 36, something like that. We did 1 year. And then obviously post COVID was pretty wild. We just literally had just had our first kid and everyone obviously but we had Isabella at the back end of COVID. So literally the next year we had like a 6-month-old baby and like 40 something weddings because we
Oh
had
my
the ones
word.
booked plus the postponements.
But
But we
you
made
got
it
through
through. It
it
was fine.
somehow.
Yeah, it was fine. Like we just blasted through and it was cool. But yeah, nowadays we tend to go for like 5 or 6. That's that number isn't like it's not like a number we've come up with. That's what we shot this year. Maybe it was like 7 in the end. And that felt pretty good. Like, because I still gig as well. I still play in a band. I still gig. So by the time I've played 10 festivals and we've shot 6 weddings, it's like summer's gone.
Yeah.
So that's enough for us. We don't do it for the money anymore. It's not something we need to be doing as an income. It's just something we really like doing together. We love the day out. We had to palm the kids off and the grandparents, go and eat, have a
They
beer,
can't say no
hang
when it's
out,
work, can they?
and hang out with people our own age. And it's just like it just makes sense. So we've always thought like, we might want to pick it up more one day and shoot 10, 15, 20, who knows, like in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, 5, 6 is the magic number right now. I think we've got 3 or 4 booked for next year, so the others will come in January.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It can really be a lifestyle business. And I always say to my wife, Jade, about it, I really wish I'd started doing this just, more before kids. So we could because she works with me now, we could be traveling around like you were and we could be editing anywhere. Like the winter months, we could be off. We could be off to Australia and working over there. But then you have kids and you have to be a bit closer to home and family, don't you? But it's nice that
Yeah,
you've got it still ticking over. So at any point, if you decided to, you could ramp the business up and like progress down that path. It's a great shout. And
yeah.
packages wise, where are you at the minute in terms of pricing and deliverables? You mentioned that it's full ceremony, full speeches, and your 7-minute film. Is it? Is that your package?
Well, we've actually got 3 now. For years, we just had a package, and that was it. You just got both of us. You got a film, you got full ceremony and speeches. But I think as we started to increase prices over the years, I think we then wanted to kind of be able to direct couples more to what we wanted them to choose, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, and create a bit more of a funnel, but then also just to have a little bit more flexibility when it came to choosing like who we went with like couples wise, if that makes sense. Like not that we'd, like pick and choose the couple themselves, but like whether we said we were available or not, or whether we wanted to travel so far or whatever. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the other thing, obviously, with kids is you then, the idea of driving 2 hours to a wedding now is just not a great thing for me. So I'd
Yeah.
much rather be half an hour down the road. Like we're really lucky right where we are just outside of Taunton. We're surrounded by just amazing like barn venues and great places just all in Devon and Somerset and we just don't need to go that far. So there's just no point. So having the packages meant that we could structure the packages in a way where we knew we were cutting down our time on the deliverable stuff. So it was okay taking a hit on the price because we knew we were saving hours in post. And it meant that we then were picking up more couples at local venues who maybe were paying 200 or 300 quid more, less for their package, but we weren't driving 3 hours to get the gig and we had 5 hours less work to do in post. So it just made sense for us.
Yeah. That's really interesting because so many people are chatting to, they're almost doing the opposite. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
They're trying to get higher packages constantly, and then they start moving further away from home and stuff and going to different venues. But trying to concentrate your packages to keep yourself local, yeah, it's making it fit around your lifestyle, isn't it?
Totally, and it's mitigating a lot of risk and like a lot, we've definitely shot stuff further away. And I think when you're sort of getting started in it and maybe a bit younger as well, everyone sort of has this vision of like destination weddings and going here and doing that and shooting all these magical venues around London and things. And I think that is cool. Like, you know, if you're hungry and you want to go get it, that's sick. But yeah, for us now, it's like if we can get decent money at Deer Park, there's literally like 30 minutes from us, and Megan's parents are on the way. Like,
Great
that is
venue
just
as
a
well.
heavenly day. Yeah, great venue. Like, it's just, yeah. So that's where we're at now. So we're more like structuring for getting what we need financially, but having the option that we're not having to do ever like try and negotiate with a couple or offer a discount or do this or do that. It's like if you really want us, there's a lower package there. You can take
Yeah.
it. And, you know, because it makes our life easier as well. But yeah, to get to the point, we have three collections. Collection three is the lowest one. You get one of us. No one books this ever. You get one of us and you get a 7 to 8 minute film. And that's it. Um, then collection two is that's 1950, by the way. Local. We've got two brochures. We've got basically anyone who's within like 45 minutes. And then the other brochure basically just has like 400 quid on top or something like that, like
Yeah.
roughly per package. So these packages go pretty much from 2 grand to 2.8, and the non-local ones go from, you know, like 2.2 to like 3.2 or 3.4 or something like
Yeah.
that. There is add-ons as well. So yeah, then the middle package, collection two, is 2100. That's both of us, a 7 to 8 minute film, ceremony and speeches. That's what we want. Book that all day at a venue, 20 minutes from home. We can shoot it in a day. If we have to, we can edit it in a day. And it's venues we know. It's venues that are like at a price point where that's a good amount of money for the couples that book that venue to spend. They're
Yeah.
like really happy with what they're getting for that. So we know we're getting a good couple as well because they've got that kind of money. And yeah, kind of just works for us. And then we've got collection one, which is 2600, the local one, 32, I think it is for the more distant one. And that's exactly the same, except you also get a 1 minute teaser, like a little Instagram trailer, and you get the documentary film as well.
Yeah. And what is the can the documentary be added onto any of the packages separate, did you say?
Yeah, so additional stuff. We've got like a 1 minute trailer on there, like an Instagram trailer, 200 quid. We've got this, we do these flashback films, which are really cool. We've only ever literally had like 5 couples get them ever, and they're so good. We've got them on there for 100 quid, 'cause they literally take me 10 minutes to put together. And all it is like, it sort of comes down to our workflow in Final Cut. So we have this, like, I don't know if lots of people do this or it's more unique to us, but we have this massive template in the left hand side in the events where we have every single part of the day, like say like bride prep, groom prep, blah blah blah. Then there's drop down menus in there, and there's every significant event in that part of the day. So bride prep might be like getting in the dress, opening gifts, reading letter. So we have these subcategories, and then all of the clips get organized into the subcategories. Sounds like a lot of work, but basically it just saves you hours like down the line. And we organize it into the subcategories, and then on every single clip we do an in and out point for the bit of the clip we actually want, and then we end up with all of our favorites. So with these flashback ones, I grab 5 clips basically from every single section and then put them all on a timeline and use the like auto cut thing in Final Cut to cut every single clip to 2 seconds long. And then you end up, you put 30 clips on the timeline. They're 2 seconds long each. You end up with a 60-second thing, and it just goes like bam, 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 like through the day. It's like it almost looks like a flashback, like in a film.
Wow.
And so we do those. We need to sell more of those. People should do that idea more because they're so cool.
Yeah.
They look
So
great.
I really want to quiz you on this. So is it just the natural sound, or are you putting music in as well for
No, we
those?
put like a little bit of music in there. We'll just grab like a little 60 seconds, something that feels like it's building because it really looks
Yeah, like a
like we've
ride.
done them two ways. We've done them where we'll put the clips in chronological order, and then I've also done them where I've flipped it on its head and gone backwards, and it kind of looks like the start of a film, you know, where you're starting at nighttime and it's going back and going back and going back, and
Yeah.
the last bit is just like the bride, like in the morning, and they look really cool either way. But yeah,
Cool.
they're on there.
And when you said the auto cut in Final Cut, what's that?
So it's probably not called that, but if you have a load of clips on a timeline, you know where you've got the clock above the timeline,
So
where
the
you've got your,
duration, so you're changing the
so
duration of
you can
each
change
clip.
the duration of every single clip. And obviously, if you've already done your in and out points and you've got the right section of the clip, you can just select them all at mass and change all the durations to 2 seconds.
Right. Oh, okay. So it's it'll be so it's not changing in and out points. It's actually changing the clip within and out points to that time, isn't it? So it will like
Yeah,
be speeding it up or slowing it down, depending, right?
it is changing the in and outs. Yeah,
Oh, is
it's
it?
not changing the speed of it. Yeah, so it's effectively just clipping the front and back of the clip until you've
Right.
got 2 seconds of it left.
Ah, okay. Because I do that when I do my photo slideshows. I throw them in Final Cut and I change the duration.
Yeah,
So, and I've never done it with
exactly the
video
same
before. So
thing.
I think it's like Command D or Control D or something like that, and then you just type it in, don't you? So
That's
you
it.
put it
Yeah,
to
and
two
it's really
seconds.
confusing to type in. Like it
Yeah,
just like you have to try and get like all the like you got to preempt how many noughts you need, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it because you type in a certain number and that number isn't coming up until you get the right amount of frames because it's based in frames, isn't it? Like seconds and
Yeah, it's
frames.
really annoying.
Yeah, but that's cool. That's and I love to hear that you're using the favoriting system because that's something I use for my culling. But nearly every person I speak to on this podcast does not use the favoriting system in Final
Yeah.
Cut. But I had a chat with Daniel Yates, who's a wedding editor, and yeah, we dive deep into the whole favoriting system. But it really is that's the only reason I've not left Final Cut for DaVinci is the favoriting system is the ideal way to visually cull.
100%, yeah, it's really good. And as well, like you can just do it, especially if it's for cinematic edit side of stuff and you know you're not really going to be using much of the natural audio. You can do it like in an evening, like with a Netflix show on, and you're just punching in and out. Like you're just making sure your shot's not shaky and your exposure's decent. You can kind of punch in and out and just like keep moving on. You can blast through it so quickly. But yeah, continue on that. Drone shots as well. We have in there at like 200. I've got a drone, but not a license. So we charge 200 quid because I know there's a guy locally with a license who will do it for that if push comes to shove. We have extra day of filming because we did back in the day tend to get quite a lot of multi-day weddings. I don't know if it's just the venues around here. It just seemed to be like a lot of people traveling to the
Right.
countryside to get married, and it would often be like, oh, can you come Friday, we're having a barbecue, or can you do
Yeah.
Saturday because they're doing something different. And then we got raw footage at like 500 quid
Yeah, and that's literally just
and
all the
adopt
files
films.
chucking on a hard drive to them, is it basically?
Yeah, the raw footage is like, to be honest with you, I'm really honest with the couples. I just say, don't buy raw footage. Just wait a year because you'll get an automated email from us that says, congratulations, happy 1 year anniversary. Probably wondering what happened with the rest of the footage. You can buy the raw stuff now half price for 250, and we
Yeah.
just have it all there ready. And we probably like 80% of people just buy it a year later
Yeah. Have you
because they're
ever had
just like, oh,
anyone like
cool.
once have bought that? Have you ever had them like say, "What's this?" Expecting like a film rather than just all the files?
No, I think like we've always been pretty clear with it, and
Yeah.
we deliver it on a hard drive because we've done it a couple of ways in the past. We've done it where we've put it all in folders, like individual parts of the day, and obviously that just took ages. And then in the end, what we started doing, because we have this folder system on Final Cut that we use, we would then take all of the clips from, say, bride prep, dump them on the timeline, render that out, and then do the same for every section of the day. So essentially, what they end up with, rather than, you know, 500 clips, they would end up with maybe 20 things that are like just each part of the day that they can
Yeah.
skim through. Because, I
More
think it's pretty,
digestible version.
and it's not hard, is it? Like for most people nowadays, if they're on an iPhone or QuickTime or something and they want to take a clip or something, it's not tricky just to trim down. So we didn't really worry about that so much. Plus, it's much easier, like if they don't want a hard drive for whatever reason, because they're just like, I don't even have a computer, we've just got 20 or 30 clips that we can just upload to the same place as their films, and it's not too much hassle.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's something this is I swear this is I keep saying I'm going to move on, but I want to there's another question I need to ask you because I know you're big on your sound and your audio and obviously that was a lot of your background before. What are your settings for audio in your film? Because I know you're saying like you go in and you do the master of the audio in the films as well. So what kind of like levels are you trying to hit with your dialogue, but also then what's your music bed looking at, and then what's your kind of natural audio? Did you say natural audio is -10? I think you mentioned before. And
That's more in the doc film style thing.
right,
In the cinematic film, natural audio, I'll just pull it up and down per clip, whatever, like, or put fades and stuff as to whatever it feels like the impact it needs to make in the movie. Generally speaking, I'll put together I put together the soundtrack for the film in advance. So I'll cut a 7.5, 8 minute kind of compounded edit of the track. I choose the track still. So because I like that part of it, and also I'll find 3 or 4 tracks that I really like that are all in the same key. And then I'm also quite happy to get stuck in on the keyboard and like put transitions in if I have to, or keep like synth swells going between songs. Like I don't mind putting it in a recording project and making like a 7.5 minute song effectively. And then
Wow.
Megan just gets that because she doesn't really want to touch the music side of it. So I give her like the soundtrack. And obviously I know like, hey, I'm gonna ramp it up here because we're probably going to dump the confetti shot here or something like that, and then it'll definitely be hyped up in the evening towards the end and stuff like that. So I kind of do all that in advance. That usually sits around like -12 if that's like fully maxed out. Like if it's a well mastered selection of music and it's quite reasonably loud anyway, we'll usually drop that down to about -12. And then the vocal side of stuff, there's not I don't do loads on it. It's just EQ and compression, but it's fairly subtle, but it's like the right thing. I think lots of low end gets stripped out because, generally speaking, whether it be registrars with microphones, churches with microphones, or speeches where the venue's got a PA and a microphone as well, you're going to get like low end build up from the audio on the day coming out and obviously going back into whatever mic you've chose to put on them. So there's a lot of like low cutting in there, probably up to like 150 hertz usually. And then typically it's really standard. I'm usually dipping out at like 3 to 4K, 3 to 5K, because a lot of people can sound quite sibilant and harsh there, especially where people are listening on like mobile devices most of the time nowadays. I usually add a little bit of air, maybe from like 8, 9K up, just because it helps it cut through the music, and maybe a bump at like 1K, because generally speaking, like our ears are tuned to about a kilohertz. That's like, as humans, that's what we're used to hearing. That's where our range of voice is typically. So if you're ever not hearing your vocal, you can do one of two things. You can either bump the vocal at 1K, or something that I do a lot of the time on pretty much all of our soundtracks is once the music's finished, I'll do a master EQ over the whole lot and I'll notch out a little bit at 1K and then take a little bit of the presence down right at the top end, like 10K plus, because it just sits and takes those vocal ranges out and the high end sort of breathiness out of the track. And you don't need to go mad with your vocal mix then. It's just going to cut
Right.
through the track. You're making space in the music for the vocal.
So is that across the entire music, or is it literally just in the sections where the voice is going to be?
Yeah, I would just do it across the entire music because then it feels like it flows. Like you would never know it's not there if that makes sense. I'm talking like 3 dB at 1K and
Yeah.
maybe a 2 or 3 dB shelf from like 8K upwards. Like unless you put the songs side by side, no listener is ever going to be like, "Oh, this
Yeah.
sounds slightly less sweet." Like yeah,
But
it's
it's
just got
leaving
to be.
enough room to make that dialogue come through, because I often find there's certain voices that don't cut through the sound as well, even though I'm putting my levels at, consistently across, and they're even hitting, even on the audio on the meter, they're hitting at the same point, but for some reason they don't seem to be cutting through the music as well. And it's that, isn't it? It's the kind of the frequency, right?
It can totally be that. It's like the frequency of where their voice is. And also, you can get it where if all you're looking at is levels, like as in a meter, the problem is you could have an older chap. If you've got, like, say, a bridesmaid does a speech, and then you've got an older guy doing a speech, if that older guy's got a really deep voice, there's a lot of bass energy in his voice. There's a lot of low end resonance, and bass is very energy consuming. It takes up a lot of space in the audio spectrum compared to high end, where the waves are tiny and they don't have a lot of energy at all. So, what's happening is they might both be at -6 dB, but if this dude's voice is really bassy, his -6 to our ears could sound way down here because the bass is filling up the energy, but you
Right.
can't actually hear it because it's bassy.
Yeah.
So like that's why I filter out a lot of low end. And with voices like that, if you ever get it like it's not cutting through, it is working with that 1 to 3 kilohertz range to try and give them a little bit more bite and a bit more where we hear it.
And is that the equalizer that you're using for that in Final Cut? You're dropping that on, and you get like a linear line, don't you? And you can lift it in different areas. And
Exactly. Yeah. Like if I was starting out, like even no matter what the vocal is, if I'm starting out, I've got a EQ preset which will literally have the high pass filter, which is like there's two shelves either end of the EQ, and I would take the high pass filter and roll that up to 150 hertz. So everything below 150 is gone. Like just
Right.
get rid of that straight away because that's just rumble from the room or resonance and reverb going into the mic. I just get rid of that and then yeah, just make like some tweaks depending on the style of voice and find those little bits that help it poke through. You'll always find if you just give it a sort of 3 or 4, 5 dB bump at like 800 hertz, if you then scroll that from 800 to like 3000, there'll be a point in there where all of a sudden that voice just goes bah and just like pops out and you're like, yeah, okay, that's where he's at.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can kind of just work it from there.
And would you apply that to the entire speech, or is it literally just the audio that's gone into the film, or are you doing it beforehand in the multicams?
So that would be if say it's a speech multicam and if we just had like a TX650 strapped to a mic and that was going to be what we were going to use and it's got all speakers, I'd usually cut the audio file per speaker and
Yeah.
then chuck the compression's pretty much the same. I don't do a lot of compression. I do a little bit of compression just so if somebody's laughing or says something really loud, it's just catching them. I'm not like ever compressing for effect, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to make it sound like a radio voice.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm
the
just giving
compression
it a
makes
little.
everything level, right? So it's all at a similar volume. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so it basically is like if you set your threshold on a compressor at like -10, and every time they say a word that goes above it, it's going to reduce that down
Right.
to bring it all more level. Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a wall. It's like going to stop them from being able to go, and then you're using like the ratio control to decide how intensely are we going to stop it? Are we just going to cut it off at the head and it distorts, or are we just going to gently bring it down a bit, basically? But yeah, like a little bit of compression. But then all I would do is yeah, just EQ, just like you said. If I had a speech or someone that was speaking on the day who just wasn't jumping out, or it was felt quieter, even though on a meter it looked okay, I would just try and EQ my way to getting it to punch out, and you probably find that like it won't really affect the meter that much, and all of a sudden you can hear them.
Yeah. Yeah. And these things, like these settings, they could then be saved as a preset, couldn't they, in Final Cut to then just throw on as a starting point kind of thing next time that you're using like the TX audio.
Totally. Yeah. So like it obviously is very different room to room and mic to mic and it can change, but generally speaking, like we've got expensive lavs. Like I've got nice stuff. I've got 300-400 pound lav mics and we've got Sony DL10s and stuff like that. And I don't use any of it just purely because most of the time it sounds 5% better and creates 100% more work. Where with like the TX650, if I slap one on, like even if I individually mic everyone on the day for a set of speeches and I strap one to the mic, 95% of the time I'm using the one on the mic. And it means my EQ is pretty much the same as all the time. The compression is the same and it just works.
If you are still delivering your wedding films on a USB or struggling to find a sleek professional way to showcase your work, it's time to upgrade your delivery experience with VidFlow, the ultimate online gallery for wedding filmmakers. With VidFlow, your couples can watch their wedding films in stunning quality on any device, including their TV, making it easier than ever for them to relive their best day with family and friends. Plus, with custom branding, easy downloads and cloud backup, you get a premium, hassle-free delivery solution that makes you look as professional as your films deserve. I've been using VidFlow for the last year and my couples have been amazed by its slick interface, especially on their TV. It's like having their very own Netflix of their wedding films. You only pay for what you need, and each of my 4K galleries only cost me about £15 and they stay online for 10 years, so it's a complete no-brainer. Join thousands of filmmakers who have already made the switch and try VidFlow for free by using the link in the description. Take your film delivery to the next level. Now let's get back to the episode. You have done so much since weddings, and like you say, you've kind of took a step away from the majority of the filmmaking business, and Megan's taken that over, hasn't she? But
Yeah.
what happened? Where did you go? And yeah, what's your story from weddings onwards, mate?
Yeah, so I've always been quite entrepreneurial. I love like starting businesses and coming up with ideas and giving them a go. I've always just been into it, just even for fun. And then it's kind of just what my life's been like, really. I've maybe had like one job in my entire life. I've always just done my own thing. And yeah, so well, it was about 2019, I started a business called Guitar Gear Giveaway. And that was on the back of seeing one or two competition websites come up that were doing cars. And my dad was quite into cars. My brothers were really into cars. And it was maybe like my brother's friend or something ended up winning a car on there or something. And whatever it was, I got chatting to one of the guys who was running one of these sites. And I sort of got a bit of an understanding for it. And I was like, this would definitely work for guitars. I absolutely love guitars. I've played in bands for years, and other guitarist in my band at the time, he's a brilliant business dude, and he's on the other end of the spectrum to me. He's great on like very large business side of stuff, like working for big companies and dealing with like mega money. And I'm more of like on the ground, like just hustling. So we decided to team up and start that. We ran it for about a year, and it was an absolute nightmare. It was like
Really?
literally every few months we were getting shut down, or this new law came out, this new piece of legislation, like whatever it was, there was always something. Like banks would get shut down, PayPal would get blocked, like they change like something in the gambling act that affected like prize of competitions, and it was just the Wild West. But we persevered and it was cool, and we weren't really doing it for money. We were just doing it because we love guitars and we thought, this is cool. I wonder if we can make a few quid doing this and buy loads of guitars while we do it. And about a year later, I think after we got through like what felt like our final like boss challenge of, if we could actually get a merchant and a bank account again after this like seventh time of being shut down, I think we might be in the clear now because everything else is okay. And we sort of got through it. That was like October, November time, 2019. So we had already been going a year because we pretty much started at the end of 2018. So we had a good following. We had like 3 or 4 thousand people that were like regularly entering, and it was cool. And December came and it got quite busy on the run up to Christmas, like the busiest month we'd ever had. January, it was like double what December was. February was like double what January was. March was like double what February was. And then April came and it was lockdown. And we had this massive audience, and all of a sudden everyone was at home on their phones. So we just had an opportunity to kind of double down. We both had obviously jobs at the time and businesses, so we never took a penny out of the company. So we had loads of cash sat on, basically ready to do marketing and advertising. And I had done Facebook ads for years by this point. There was just a massive opportunity where like all the shops got shut for what we were paying. We always tracked this metric of like onboarding a user. So if we could onboard a user, we knew that they would enter multiple competitions over the course of a year and buy a few tickets here and there. And I think our average lifetime value at the time was about 11 or 12 quid. So we're like, and they would make around 10 or 11 orders on average. So we're like, each customer's maybe worth, call it 120 to 150 quid in LTV. And we were onboarding customers for maybe like £3, £4, £5 per of Facebook ads. We'd onboard like a single customer. But then every guitar shop shut and all of the ads got pulled. And that went down to about 10p, like to nothing. So we just took every penny we had and just put it all in ads and went mental.
Really?
And we went from 5,000 users to 60,000 users in about a year. So
Wow.
it just went ballistic. That was crazy. Then ended up building another site similar for camera gear. Then the guitar thing just kept getting busier. So I actually ended up selling that site to a camera supply shop. Selling that business, and they're still doing pretty well with that today. But yeah, so that's kind of the main thing right now. That's led me into like a few other little avenues as well, like doing a bit more marketing, and all of the skills from my past, whether it be music, guitar stuff. The video thing has like been the main one because we've now got like a pretty big YouTube channel, or a growing YouTube channel, and we obviously do live draws for the business, so that's great. So we've got like the best looking live draws out there, obviously, because I've got like all these we've
Yeah.
got like a couple of Sony cameras, nice lenses in the office, we've got great audio, we've got like a studio with like really nice lighting, so all that side of it's really good. Obviously all the photography as well, we do a load of photos for all of the guitars that come in and out. We generally shoot like probably like 3 YouTube videos a week, We probably put out maybe 20 pieces of content on social media as well, like short form video stuff. And yeah, it's kind of just feels like I'm still editing all the time, by the way. I've got like
Yeah.
6 videos in my editing backlog right now. They're just not weddings.
Yeah, but this is absolutely fascinating, and there's so much I want to ask you about this business. So, when you had this first idea for you had this inspiration about after seeing that the car version of the competition site, you decided that you were going to go ahead and do this. What were your first steps? Did you then just go and build the website yourself? Like, how does it have to work in terms of building a website with the functionality of running a competition?
Yeah, so this was so early on. So there was literally 2 websites. When we started this, there was only 2 doing it, that were both doing cars. There was no one, nothing was in existence. So when we were first kicking it off, people were like, what the hell is this? Like, I had no idea. Unless you had, come across like dream car giveaways or BOTB or something like that, you just were, this is the first time you're ever seeing it. Obviously now it's pretty normal. Yeah, so it was about December time. I had the idea, had a pretty drunken chat with my dad and my now business partner about sort of whether we thought it'd work or not. And it seemed promising. So January, I literally started building a website. Didn't really think about functionality or anything because obviously it was just like no one knew what was going on then. It was just a simple Shopify store and we
Right.
treated the tickets as products. And then when I just found a way to put a timer on it through like a plugin on Shopify. And when it closed, at that point, we just published a spreadsheet with ticket numbers on there that we just literally did a little video of us with all of the names in Excel and then doing the little equation to make random numbers between 2 set points. So everyone knew we'd done it randomly. And then we're like, here you go, here's the spreadsheet, here's your ticket numbers. And we just drew the winners. And we probably did that for like 6 months and
Yeah.
until we actually then were like, okay, we probably need like a developer now to help us build something a bit more bespoke. And then we, had a bit of a better system. But that's happened probably 5 times since. We've gone to bigger and better developers and agencies and stuff to like keep obviously pushing what we're doing. But to begin with, it was literally just a Shopify store and a few Facebook ads. And Andy, my business partner, is like, I'm a good guitar player. Andy is like, I wish I would. Everyone just would wish they were that good. So
Yeah.
like, if you're going to stop and watch a video of someone playing guitar, it's him. So we had that on our side, and we started it with no money. Andy's dad's a guitar player, and he had this old like his Fender Japanese Strat in white, and he was like, "Look, you can have it. It owes me 650 quid. Try and sell some tickets and pay me after." And that was our first guitar.
No way.
So yeah, and
And
that was
how
it.
much how much were you able to get for him for that?
I think we actually sold it out, which is just mental. I can't remember exactly what we did. I think at the time we were doing about a 1.5 times multiplier. So
Yeah.
it was like if we had paid 500 quid for a guitar, we'd try and sell £750 of tickets. We realized pretty quickly that wasn't really going to be efficient for long with the amount you had to spend on ads, but at the beginning it was fine.
Yeah. And is that how you get, is it ads then? Is it still to this day, is ads the way that you're getting users in?
Must be obviously an element of word of mouth. We bring on like in the thousands now per every single month. And if we turn the ads off tomorrow, we would still bring in plenty of new users because obviously the volume we're doing now and the scale we're at, there's just word of mouth and obviously a lot of organic stuff now as well. Like we're pushing the organic a lot more. We've got like, I don't know, like 20 something thousand followers on Facebook and 7 or 8 thousand on Instagram and creeping up to 10,000 on YouTube now. But obviously over the years we've got, over 60,000 users now. We've got a mailing list with 40, 50,000 people on it. And we've got an app as well where we've got about 20,000 people that accept app notifications. So,
Yeah.
if we launch a new comp, we can just buzz it out there and we're kind of good to go.
How do you go about getting an app made? How do you find, I assume you don't do that yourself, you get a developer in to do that. How do you find
Yeah, that
developers to
was
work with?
that was a we got really lucky to be honest with you. I don't know how we got away with it for so long, but there's this app type you can have developed, which is like a web frame. So basically all it is it's your website, but it's just encased in a little app that you can
Yeah.
download. So it works exactly the same as the website. The functionality is the same. It's no different. It's basically like a static browser that just becomes like a frame for an app, and all it has at the bottom is a home button. Yeah, it was still in the early days, and we were trying to be as professional as possible and look as big as possible and as good as possible. And there was still really no one else doing exactly what we were doing. There wasn't a lot of small sites out there, but there was quite a lot more like people doing cars and bigger stuff. And like they were all getting apps, and we were like, well, we can't afford an app. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, we're not doing cars here. We're not selling £100,000 of tickets for a Lamborghini. I was like, so what are we going to do? And I went on Fiverr and I found this guy called Duria in India, and he built both of our apps for 55 quid.
Yes.
And
Yes, Doria.
we used those apps until last year.
No way.
Absolutely ridiculous. Bearing in mind, last year we were we were doing over 100 guitars a month, and we
Yeah.
were still using that app. I don't know how it survived. It just kept going and going. At some point, it just gave up the ghost. It was like, no, I just can't handle this traffic anymore.
You made your most out of that 100 quid spent on
Oh my
Fiverr.
God, so good. Honestly, the best thing. And I'd message him every year as well, and he'd do the updates for me. Like, he was
No
literally
way.
such a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, now, like, now we've got a company in Bournemouth do it. Freaking hell, 55 quid. That gets you a phone call if you're lucky.
Yeah. But the scale you're at, that's where you need to be with it, I guess, right? And I
Yeah, you
noticed the other
can't.
day you were talking about the new app has been launched. So that was the overhaul from the
Yeah,
Fiverr
so
job.
yeah, the new app was already launched, but the latest update we released was we've now got functionality to do like app only competitions.
Right.
So, which obviously benefits us because it means like if customers have the app and they accept the notifications, we can reach them without having to run ads. So
Yeah.
it's like we can give away something for free in return for them not minding me pinging their phone a couple times a day.
But the I always turn that off though, don't you? Like when you get an app, the first thing I do is make sure no notifications.
I do, and I think even if you don't even notice that you've got the notification after the first week anyway. It just goes straight over your head, doesn't it? Like I don't even
Yeah.
see it. Like I've got some apps that I look at the end of the day and I'm like, I have 5 notifications for it today, and I'm like, did I? Like I don't even remember seeing a single one of them. But I think it depends, you know. I think we're in a specialist enough niche that it's interesting enough for people to want to know what's going on. Like for example, we spent like 2 months trying to find this guitar that we're launching at Christmas, and it's an all original 1966 Fender Jaguar, which
Oh,
may
hello.
not mean a lot to many people, but it's from 1966, so it's
Yeah.
old as hell. It's all original apart from a refret, which is really just for functional purposes. And it's in a custom color, candy apple red, with a matching headstock. It's basically amazing. And there'll not be many left in the world like it. So because our products are not like £100,000 cars that take weeks to sell out, we've had guitars like this and they've gone in 2 hours. So it's
Really?
like, you know, sometimes it might take 2 weeks. It just depends on if whether it's a massive hit or not. But if you want that guitar, even if you're rich, you've got to find it. Like we've got money to spend on guitars, and it took us months to find one. So it's not even like a money thing. It's like, do you just want to be in on this action because it's a super cool guitar? You're not going to find another like it, really.
Yeah.
So I think we've got that about it. So people don't mind so much all the notification side of stuff.
Yeah, because they want to be notified on it. It's funny because my past is in bands. Like you might see behind me my Jaguar hanging on the wall behind me.
Yeah.
And one of my friends who was in band with me back in the day, he's still very much involved in bands. And I showed him your website. I was going to check this out. Like, and like, this is right up your street. And he's like, oh, this is awesome. Because I went to go sign up. Turns out I was already signed up. It was
There you
already
go.
registered. So he'd already entered.
That's so
It's getting
good.
around there. But so do you have to put a limit on, can you only sell a certain amount of tickets for each guitar? Is that how it works? Could it not just be unlimited? So you just earn loads of money?
I think it pretty much could be. I don't know exactly. I'm not up to date on the rules anymore. Not since we've got a solicitor now who does it all for us, and I used to know a lot more. But I'm pretty sure within reason you could kind of do what you want.
Yeah. Then people won't enter if they think it's unlimited because they need to know that they've got a better chance and better odds, I guess.
Exactly. We haven't changed um our multiplier for how much money we need to make per competition hasn't changed for 3 years
Right.
because We just don't need to. Like, business is fine. We just don't need to make any more money. We just need to do more guitars. We don't need more profit. It's like we want to keep the odds good. And it also kind of makes it really hard to compete with us in that sense because we know that like we make good money, but if you tried to beat our odds, you wouldn't be able to market it. You wouldn't have
Yeah.
enough money in the back to do the Facebook ads because we've already got the audience. So it kind of keeps us untouchable in that
Yeah.
sense. Like it's just one of the things that sort of helps us stay on top, even when we've had like other people trying to do what we do.
Yeah, and fair enough. And that should be the way. When you're the first to do a thing like that, like the in that niche, you should be the ones that have got the success rather than other people coming in and then taking bits of your pie, I guess, right?
Totally. I mean, look, there's like it's a fair game, and I don't mind the competition. Sometimes it fires me up. I'll get lazy for a couple of months, and I won't be pushing hard enough, and then someone will come along and like copy. Like we've had it literally where people will copy and pasted our terms and conditions to the point where they've left the links in, and the links
Yeah.
link back to our site, and I'm like, they're so lazy. And then I'm like, right, that's it. I'm going to crush you. So I'm like, then I'm in business zone again. And I'm just, so it does fight. That competition is good. I'm all for the free market. But yeah, it's like finding little ways to make sure you're staying on top is kind of the fun bit nowadays, to be honest with you.
And how many people are working for you now? I mean, I'm thinking you're going out, having to go out every day and source guitars. Like, how does that all work? The actual getting the prizes.
Yeah. So I pretty much still buy all of the stock, but obviously now it's less having to go and look and more I've got lists of suppliers or manufacturers who are coming to us more often than not. Like we
Right.
do as many guitars as some of the biggest individual guitar stores in the UK. So it's, people want to sell to us. So generally speaking, we've got like a handful of shops who we deal with, and we've got one shop who we drop ship with, which is awesome. And we've got a couple of second hand because most of what we do is second hand because we try and do like a lot of vintage stuff, rare pieces. We don't tend to do a lot of new stuff. We do a little bit, but not a lot. It's like 10%. So yeah, it's just really working with dealers and they usually bring me a lot of stuff. So I'll buy guitars in batches of maybe like 10 to 30, depending on who it is and where they're coming from. But yeah, we've actually got a really slick operation because you said it earlier, lifestyle business. A lot of people say that like it's a bad thing. A lot of people are like make out like a lifestyle business is like the real success is in having this massive company and loads of employees and all the stress and the crap that comes with it, where we've never really wanted that. And luckily my business partner's the same as well. We've always wanted to be successful. We want to win and we want to do well, but not at the cost of freedom. So I've got like a real strong belief in like a little triangle of like financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom. And time is really important to me because I like hobbies. I like seeing my kids and family and going on holidays. Location's a big one because we do like going away a lot if we can. And the financial side of it is just, kind of a bonus as well. But it's got to be balanced. Like, I would not want loads and loads of money, but I have to be stuck in an office all the time working or managing a bunch of employees. Like, I want to have enough money to free up the other two. So, yeah, we've got quite a slick operation. It's me. I work full time, like kind of my hours are weird as hell. So I work from usually from 6 in the morning until about 10 a.m. That's when I get like my really intense work done. I do like a 4 hour and I just absolutely smash it. And then usually I'll have a couple of hours off. I'll go to the gym, eat some food, do whatever, get into the office usually for like 1 or 2, and then do maybe a couple of hours in the office, just catching up on stuff. And then a couple of days a week, we have the live draws. And that's kind of it. But that morning portion, that sort of 6 till 9 or 10, that's 7 days a week. I do that every day. And that is pretty much me putting new comps on the site, setting up the marketing for the day, like writing the email, setting up the notifications, putting out a few social media posts. That's like the business running every day. We've got then my business partner. He still works another job randomly
Right.
out of choice. His other work is he's very passionate about. He's done it for years. It's like all about submarines and stuff. It's like he loves it. So he does that for a few days a week, and then he does Guitar Gear Giveaway for a few days a week. He just splits it up between the two. And then we've got one full-time guy, Dan, who is our kind of operations manager. He runs the studio. He's a brilliant photographer and also does some like YouTube content. And he's a great guitar player. So he does like the photos of the guitars. He'll unbox them, check them, repack them, whatever. And then we've got a guitar tech who comes in for one day a week. And that's it. Everything else we outsource to either like development agencies or account side of stuff. We've got a bookkeeper. Yeah, we just outsource everything else.
Wow. Okay. I love that. I love the idea of being able to scale, but also keeping it small as well. But outsourcing is a way is to do that, isn't it? Then they're not a person that you're having to pay a salary on. You can use them as you need to. What weird question. I'm just like, this is how I am. I'm just nosy, and I just have to ask the guitar tech. Is he just setting the guitars up or just checking out their working and everything? What's his role?
Totally, yeah. So because most of what we buy is secondhand and a lot of it's vintage stuff, it could be something as basic as like it just needs a restring, or it
Yeah.
could be as deep as like we bought this 1982 Les Paul. It was a really good price, but it needs the fret sorting and stuff like that. Like we'll buy it knowing that G can do all the tech work on it and we
Yeah.
get a steal for the guitar kind of thing. So yeah, he's like he does everything, everything. Like, but the dude's really talented. Like, he builds acoustic guitars from scratch and stuff. So, like, for him dealing with like our electric guitars and all that sort of stuff, he's like, yeah, it's a breeze for him. He loves it.
This is such a cool job, man. You get to see and play a load of because I've seen like your socials. You play these guitars, don't you? When they're about to go on up for auction, you
Yeah,
do
as
like a
many
little
as I
video
can.
discussing it, playing it. You must be loving life.
It's cool. It is cool. Like we do always say that it's really funny because we were going to bring another full-time or part-time employee on a little while ago, but we ended up deciding after interviewing some people, we decided like it wasn't going to be the right way to go and we'd be
Mm.
better off trying to outsource more stuff and free up more of our own time. And it was funny. And the reason for that is because everyone who came in was like, yeah, I'm a good guitarist. I do all this stuff on socials and I do it. And it's like, yeah, we only play guitars for like half an hour. Then like a week. Like then we're editing all the videos. Then we're
Yeah.
posting all the socials. Then we're like taking photos of the guitars and editing the photos and listing them and writing descriptions and figuring out, which guitars we're going to launch next week. I was like, we basically just sat at our computers for most of the day, but there is a few hours here and there where we get to actually shoot the videos and do the live draws and the kind of fun stuff. But most of it is just nerdy computer stuff, really.
And that's social media for you. Because for me, looking at the socials, thinking Sam's just messing about
Totally.
on a guitar all day.
Yeah, I know. No, and it's the same with wedding films. It's
Yeah.
like like certainly when we were starting out, couples would see like, oh my God, £2,000 for a film. You're only there for a day.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Whereas the reality is the wedding day is the easiest bit of the entire process, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's exactly the same thing. We get a lush guitar in, we all, look at it and we're just like, oh, it's so amazing. We play it for 10 minutes. Like I film a bit on my phone of Andy playing it. Dan will grab a camera and film me playing it. And then we just get back into Final Cut.
Hi guys, just a quick break from the episode to tell you about some filmmaking products I've developed. The first are Rudogs. These are custom-made wind noise reducers designed for the Sony TX650 and 660 microphones. Rudogs not only help reduce wind noise and heavy breathing sounds, they also make the TXs look a little bit more like microphones and less like vapes. Here's a very unscientific demonstration of their effectiveness. For this test I held two TXs at my office fan at the same time, one with a Rudog on and one without. This is the recording without a Rudog. And this is the one with the Rudog. Without and with. The other product is the Yeti strap. This is a storage solution that can fit up to 6 Sony TXs and it has a Velcro backing so it can be attached to the inside of most camera bags. It helps keep all your TXs together and stops them getting scratched. All these products are available from my shop, ru-films.com/shop, or follow the link in the description of the podcast. Now back to the episode. Something I wanted to move into with you. I know from your personal brand, you do a lot of finance and motivation content, don't you?
Yeah, I definitely like. I really tried to get into it so heavy this year. And like every time I get like on a flow with it, like actual business gets big, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, I just end up so busy again. But I can't complain because I have to tell myself. I get like, I'll beat myself up for it, and then I'm like, hang on a minute, what sort of like, I can't be preaching stuff about business and finance and then neglecting my own business when it's like going really well. So I kind of have to, yeah, strike a balance, but I try to, I try to do it as much as I can.
And you've got some great insights in kind of personal finance for, especially kind of like for self-employed creatives, isn't you? I wonder if I could just get you to kind of throw some of your knowledge bombs at me.
Yeah, man. I think the most important thing I try to encourage anyone I talk to about this kind of stuff, especially if they're running their own business, whether it be self-employed or even a limited company, whatever it is most people, because they start a business either from a hobby or something they love, they may not have a background in the financial side of business, and they don't do anything for themselves to prepare for later in life. They don't do anything. There's no ISA going, there's no retirement plans, there's no, and it's really easy to ignore it all when you're young, but it's coming. And that's coming from me as well. And I'm not someone who will ever retire. Like, I'll just work till the day I die because I love working. Now, work might be, you know, talking to someone at a gig about guitars, but it's still work. I'll still be doing something, I'll still be overseeing companies and doing bits. And yeah, I think getting something started, getting a plan in action, it's definitely been the tipping point for me when it comes to being able to successfully start a handful of businesses. Is because I've always saved, invested, focused on like growing my net worth and building wealth. I've never worried about whether a business was going to work. I've never had to think, oh, I'm taking a big risk here, because I'm not, because I've always had something to fall back on. I've always like prepared for those kind of future endeavors. And even now, it's like we've got a great business or a great set of businesses, but pretty much all the money that's coming out of it is going back into either reinvesting in other companies or investing in stocks and shares or retirement plans or whatever, because I just know that there'll be a time in a few years' time where another opportunity will arise and I need to be stable, like for me and the family and for the future. I need to know like everything's locked in, because there'd be no worse feeling for me than having a wicked business idea and not be able to follow through on it because I think, oh, well, I've got to pay the mortgage. So I
Yeah.
need that shit sorted, like, so I can just be free to like try and be entrepreneurial and do stuff. I think weddings, especially, is a tough one when it comes to that, because you're probably not going to be shooting weddings when you're like 70. That'd be quite
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
You kind of, if you don't have at least some sort of succession plan for that, or putting something into an ISA or like a pension plan or something, or a SIP or whatever, then, it's probably not great. And weddings can be quite a bad culprit for that, because you can make good money quite quickly and sort of can live quite a high life with a lot of time freedom and make good money and be quite in control of your time. And I think the years can fly by for sure. And if
Yeah.
you've done nothing, you'll wake up one day and be like, damn, what do I do now?
I'm at that point now. Like, I'm 41, self-employed, no pension, and I'm thinking, what do I need to do? and I really don't know where to go. At my age, I think, is a pension put into a pension plan, or am I better off paying off mortgage more? Or I just don't know the routes to take, and it's really quite hard, isn't it, as a self-employed person to know, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's like, it's a tricky conversation, because a lot of like finance YouTubers and stuff like that, they'll talk about certain things. They'll talk about index funds inside of like ISAs and things like that, but what they won't talk about is like the nitty gritty of like the most tax efficient way to dip into those things, because they just can't be giving out like that kind of financial advice over the
Yeah.
internet without any sort of liability. So it is probably a case of finding someone who like knows what they're talking about and can point in the right direction. I mean, for me, I started out years ago. I literally didn't believe in retirement, and I mean, I still don't really. So I never wanted to pay anything into retirement, and I hadn't for forever. And I wanted to get my hands on all of my money and then put it in an ISA so I had control over it. Because I always thought, well, I don't want it tied up until a certain age, because at least in an ISA, it's locked up, but I can get it out if I need it. Like, if I need to
Yeah.
do something or I have a business opportunity, I can get to it. So I did that for years, and I have been doing that for years and years. It's only recently I've just started doing the retirement side of stuff, and that's really just because it's so efficient now with my company to pay into a retirement account, and it's literally a massive tax deduction, and it just goes in there tax free for me as well.
Yeah.
So it's good for that, but that is literally just surplus cash. I think an ISA is a good place to start, because you like kind of get your head around it and you can lock some cash up and you can do some basic like S&P 500 index investing and just actually start to see your money grow and see what it's all about. And then moving into like retirement side of stuff, I think it's probably you probably need someone for that or need some
Yeah.
actual advice to like sort of get it right and make sure it's working for you. It sort of just depends on what your plan is though as well. You know, it
Yeah.
depends on like what your plan is in life. So it's a very personal thing. Like my plans have changed a lot over the last couple of years and my mentality's changed in general, you know, even probably 2 years ago, if you spoke to me, my opinion then would have been completely different to what it is now. I'm a lot more, now I've built a lot more wealth. I'm a lot more risk averse. I'm now sort of more in like protection mode. I'm like, I
Right.
need this money to grow, but I need it to not go anywhere. So
Yeah.
where before it was like not enough for me to worry. It was like, yeah, I'll take some risks. I'll throw it in this, throw it in that, like mess around a bit more. But yeah, now it's a bit of a different story. But I think you've got to be prepared for these things. Like my daughter got really unwell last year, and if it wasn't for, I did it. I wrote a thing about this. I wrote like a, I don't know if I put it up as a blog post or something, but for years and years, probably from when I was maybe 22 up until the age of like 30, I did every single thing in my power to get as much money in my ISA as possible. Like whether I was making 10 grand one year or I was making 50 one year, I would always try and get as much away as I could. And that meant like working weekends, whether I was depping in for wedding bands, playing guitars, working all week. Like I was not going out, I was not really partying. I was pretty much just saving non-stop. And there was like a point where I got to, and I was just like, I hope I won't regret this. Like all this, you know, I missed all this stuff because I was working at this gig or doing mixing this band or doing whatever. And it was all just because I was trying to get to this number I had in my head in my ISA. And then my little girl got really unwell and I had nothing to worry about financially because, and then I sort of realized it clicked in my head at that time. I was like, oh, right, well, I'm not a religious person, but I was like, well, that's why I was doing it, right? Because now all of a sudden we needed like 30 grand to get an apartment in London so she could get her treatment. Well, no problem. Let's go. Like we didn't
Yeah.
have the restrictions. And I was like, oh, cool. Like this is actually, I'm coming to realize like all of the effort that I had put in. And I think you just never know what's going to happen. And if you can just live within your means and save and invest and just do something so you're saving for the future, it's just so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And what an incredible position you'd got yourself in to be able to support your family in that way. And how is your daughter now?
She's good. She's yeah, she's ticking along.
Yeah.
Pretty much just has like she has little quarterly scans every every 3 months. Feels like non-stop appointments sometimes, but in terms of her being in herself, she's like, yeah, she's awesome. She's like super pumped and just a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And the business, I know you like you've got these businesses and you work hard in that, but how's been able to create kind of almost like a lifestyle business as well allowed you to spend good time with your family?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So with the whole lifestyle thing, that's another thing as well. You know, if I had built myself into a situation where I was required to be in an office every day of the week, and there was a lot of a lot of responsibility in that sense, then well, I couldn't handle it personally, but also it wouldn't have allowed me the situation that we ended up having to put ourselves in last year because, like, I could just pick up and go. I can
Yeah.
work from my laptop if I have to. Other guys can work in the office. We can get help doing whatever we need to do there. So all of that lifestyle side of stuff, it's my opinion on all of it's changed so much. I probably would have thought that success a few years ago was earning as much as possible, having as many employees as possible, building the biggest business possible. And now it's just like I set goals and get really into the like, well, how can we make this more efficient? Like, I wonder if like we can continue to do this much, but how can we make just a little bit more profit? I wonder how we can cut our marketing budget in a little bit and like
Yeah.
do more organic stuff instead. And like, I sort of like all the little ins and outs of figuring out how you're going to make it more efficient. And I think I've always done that inherently. Like even when it comes to editing and stuff, it's always like, how can I shave this time down? What can I sync up now? Like, can I get the audio right in camera? Can I get, what can I get right at source so I have to do less later?
I get the feeling that you love the work that you do.
100%. I think I just love working, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really matters what I'm doing. Like, I just really like it. Like, even in the early days of Guitar Gear Giveaway, I would literally be like reading PDFs off of the DirectGov website around like VAT and tax rules, and like sending highlighted chunks to my accountant being like, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Like, I'm just into it. Like, what if I get into it, like I just go all in. I'm like, I don't know, people like that are just like, you just
Yeah.
go, whatever it is, you just go so deep on it.
Yeah. Can you get into like a flow state with stuff? Can you hyper focus?
100%. Yeah. I'm starting to realize now I'm trying to list out the tasks that actually get me into that state so I can do more of them and less of the stuff that like drags me down. And I've realized, yeah, it's like editing is definitely one of those things, video, and even more so audio. Like, if my band records a new track and I need to mix it, I can literally have dinner with Megan at 7 o'clock and be like, oh, I'm just gonna go and just like comp the vocals or something, and then come in at like 6 a.m. She's like, what the hell have you been doing?
Wow. And is that an ADHD thing?
Yeah, probably.
Because I've got this theory. Like, I feel either right, everyone in the world has got ADHD, or everyone I know has. I don't know if it's this industry kind of lends itself to it in terms of there's really intense pockets of like work, and then we get kind of creative freedom and time to venture off and like into our own kind of things. Because it's so obvious to me now, looking back on my life, that I've definitely got ADHD. I think my whole personality is shaped around it. But I can like, if I focus on something, I get into that flow state. I feel like I'm almost superhuman and unstoppable, and like
Yeah.
things just happen. And I also, because I've got that about me, clearly I haven't got ADHD because I'm not distracted. But I think that's a part of ADHD, is that you can really hyper focus on things and get stuff done. And it's fascinating. Like, so many people that I speak to in these podcasts, I feel they're the same.
I think it probably is a creative industry thing. Like, all of us must gravitate this way because people that are like us, you couldn't imagine being in a cubicle, could you, in an
No,
office? It ain't
no.
gonna happen. Like, what, you gonna last a day, maybe two?
Yeah.
I'd just fall apart in no time. So yeah, I think it probably does. There's definitely something there that does seem to get it. And I don't know if you're the same as well, but one thing I find is when I'm in that like deep work, the flow state, and it could be anything. It could be an edit. It could even just be like a house project. Like, like maybe there's like, I don't know, if we redecorate. Like, recently we redid our walk-in wardrobe, right? And there's literally like, I took a photo because it was really funny. I was in there sanding the new shelves and painting at like 1 a.m. with Megan asleep in the bedroom next to me. And like, she woke up because one of the kids woke up, and she was like, why are you still up doing
You
this?
was
And
standing
I
away.
have to finish it. Like, I can't, I hate unfinished like projects or something like that. That's why I think I get into it, because I want the satisfaction of the, like, I want to stand back at the end and be like, boom, that's awesome. Like, whether it's a mix or a film or a personal project or a house job or whatever, like, I want to get it. I need the like bit at the end where I'm like, I want to watch it back and like be like, cool.
Have you always been like that, or is that something that you've been able to master and train yourself to want to drive towards that feeling?
Definitely always been like it though. Even way back in the day, like doing the kitchen appliance website, building that site, I would just be sat at the dining table on a MacBook like for absolutely hours on end. I just had to get it done.
What a skill to have, though, right? Like, that is an absolute superpower, and it's clearly like that's why you've been so successful. When you put your mind to something, you dive deep, right? You dive deep until it's done.
100%, yeah. I suppose the only negative is then the opposite of it is, if I don't want to do it, I'm never doing it. It's like staying on a to-do list forever. Like, I've had 3 sets of like bank statements that need sending to the accountant now for like 3 months. I'm like, I just can't bring myself to like go through that line by line. It's like, it's got to be compelling for me, otherwise then I really am not interested. So yeah, it's kind of good and bad really. If I'm into it, it's great, but if I'm not, then I'm a terrible procrastinator as well.
All in or all out, nothing in
Yeah,
between.
definitely. Oh yeah, I'll find any way to avoid like a task I don't want to do. It could be where I've got a rowing machine at the back. I'll row over doing like anything. I mean, like, no, I'll even exercise over doing this.
Love that.
But
Right, mate, thank you so much for your time and your insight. You are a fascinating person, and that's why I
thanks,
was
man.
so keen to get you on here. And thank you for being so generous with your time and your knowledge. There's one last question I want to ask you. It's a question I ask everybody. What were the biggest light bulb moments in your career so far when something suddenly made sense, and how did you progress or find a path that you wanted to take?
Okay.
It's a deep question, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to give the biggest answer, the thing that's made the biggest change. I'd say it's a thing that's been happening for a long time, but it's only been fairly recently that I would say the light bulb has gone on and I've realized how important it is. And that is one of the things I've done, whatever business it is, whatever line of work it is. I often got told by people that were in like bigger business or like really successful people that like outsource, outsource, outsource. Oh, you don't really wasting your time doing that. Don't waste your time doing that. Like pass it off to someone else, blah, blah, blah. Like time is money. And I've always ignored it. And I've always made sure that every single aspect of whatever I do, if I ever am going to pass it off to someone, I have to know it inside out to the absolute best of my ability. Like, because otherwise, how can you ever know if that person is doing something up to your standard? And at the end of the day, if you're self employed or you're building businesses, your reputation is all you have. And I want everything I do to be as good as it can possibly be, which is why I'd be up in the middle of the night reading tax documents and grilling my accountant because I want to know every single reason they're doing everything they're doing with like my money and the tax I'm being charged and stuff like that. Same with investing. It's why I started with my ISAs because I wanted to know every single thing. And now I've got a wealth manager who manages money for like ex bankers and stuff like that. And I talk to him and he's like, you know more than the bankers I deal with. And I'm like, yeah, I lived it for 10 years. I just learned everything about it because I would never want to just pass it off to someone without knowing that they're doing the right thing. And I think it's really easy to just think like time is money and pass this off and pass that off. But you've got to have it nailed down. You've got to learn the skills because then it's a little bit, it ties in a little bit with us talking about thinking about the future and finances and retirement and that kind of stuff. There's also a massive value, not just monetary, but in having those skills. Like, can you do a little bit of all of it? I don't think there's a problem with being a jack of all trades. Like, I think it's good to know everything. And sure, when it gets to a tipping point, pass it off to someone else when it's eating up loads of your time, but you know it inside out, sure. And then at least you can show that person how you expect it done because you know how to do it. That's definitely been the biggest game changer for me. I realized that all these people that were telling me the opposite and I've done the other way, and I think it's probably been the best thing I've ever done because now I kind of know a little bit of everything. I'm not an amazing coder, but I could code a website. I'm not the best photographer, but I can take photos, and I'm no world-class videographer, but I can definitely shoot video. And it's like all of these skills are the things that have come together to enable me to be able to do cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so obvious that you've done that with all the different kind of businesses that you've been in. And with every stage of your journey, you've taken new skills to that new section. And it's kind of like you've been leveling up as you've gone along, haven't you? And I feel like this is kind of knowledge that is transferable for everyone in the wedding filmmaking industry because by our nature, we're jacks of all trade. Like we're doing all our own marketing, we're doing all our own admin, and as well as doing the editing and shooting. And we have an incredible skill set as wedding filmmakers to be able to transition into other lines of business, just as you have
Totally.
done quite successfully. And that's why you're a massive inspiration to me and how you've taken those skills, developed them further, and created more businesses that you clearly love as well. And like there's more out there than just wedding filmmaking, isn't there, for us with these skill sets? And especially now, as the way the world's moving, video content is it's king, isn't it? And as wedding
100%.
filmmakers, we have incredible skill sets that can be transferred into so many different areas going forward.
Definitely.
But Sam, thank you ever so much, mate. It's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks everyone who's listened.
And there's one last thing I should ask you really is where can people find you and the various projects that you work on?
Sure, yeah. I'm most active on Instagram, which I don't know if that makes me sound really old now because I said that to someone the other day and they were like, "What's that?"
What, Instagram? No.
So I'm not sure if I've now reached that age where it's actually becoming a joke. But yeah, I'm most active on Instagram. So you can find me there, Sam Boxell. But I've also got a website, samboxell.com. And yeah, like businesses, Guitar Kit Giveaway or Sam and Megan Films. And yeah, you can check it out there. But yeah, if you want to hit me up for anything, Instagram's probably the one.
Awesome. Thank you so much, mate.
Nice one, dude. Cheers.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. To find out more about what we have to offer in terms of our conference and also our educational resources, visit coda-conference.com.